Hello, my friends. My name is Gerdes. This is the Daily Brief. It's June 1st, 2024. Last Saturday, if we look at the losses of the occupiers in Ukraine, last Saturday, the Ukrainians posted that the Russians had lost 500,000. Now, that was confirmed yesterday by the British intelligence estimate that it's probably about 500,000 killed and wounded. And a week later, it's up 8,780. Well, not quite exactly that. It was over 500,000, but you get the idea. It's 8,000 further a week later. So about 1,000 plus a day. And if it keeps at this rate by August, September, we'll see 600,000. It's really a very high number for a long time. And I don't think that the Russians are going to stop and slow down over the summer. I think it's going to continue at about this pace. 12 tanks, 12 armored combat vehicles, 44 artillery pieces, 101 vehicles and fuel tanks off the battlefield. It's ridiculous what's going on right now. Now, as we were talking about what's being hit, a bunch of Ukrainian M77 howitzers decoys. Now, so it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. I'm sure someone like Andrew Perpetua, who does this regularly and does the diagnosis of what was hit and why, could probably tell whether something's a decoy or not. But I don't think that the Russians register quite the same way when they say we destroyed this or we destroyed that. Especially if they don't have eyes on the ground on it. They just saw where a howitzer was or something along those lines. Both sides use it, but I don't know how much is tabulated. Okay, Russia carried out large combined drone and missile attacks overnight. 100 aerial means were used, of which 81 were taken out. So about 20 got through. Now, I talked about this 2 nights ago when I said, oh, the NATO conference is coming. It's just look for a big, strong Russian missile attack. And that's because whenever there's a NATO conference or UN conference or Zelensky goes to Washington or something along those lines, Putin tends to show his displeasure by a massive missile barrage. Well, it didn't happen yesterday. It was pretty light. It was like, I don't know, 30 or something in that neighborhood, a few dozen. And I was kind of scratching my head going, well, here it is. 30 out of 35 KH-101 or 555 cruise missiles. 0 out of 4 Iskanders were taken down. 1 out of 1 Iskander K. 4 out of 10 caliber cruise missiles. 0 out of 3 KH-59-69 cruise missiles. 46 out of 47 Shahed drones. They have much better time taking down the drones than cruise missiles. Okay. Air Force, Ukraine downs 35 missiles, 46 drones last night. Ukrainian Air Force, and it tabulated what was shot down. So what were they shooting at? That's the question here. Well, they were looking to target energy infrastructure. They've been doing that. They've got it down to like 10% capacity at some places. It's bad, and it's going to be really bad moving forward. Ukraine's energy minister confirmed that energy infrastructure came under fire by Russian forces. Restoration and emergency workers are currently on the scene and are determining the extent of the damage. And this is in 5 different oblasts. Again, same thing, 5 regions. That's where the energy was hit. And here, now this is interesting. I don't know that the number is accurate, but the concept is right. Jay in Kyiv says that this morning, while impoverished Russian masses patiently wait to their turn to die in one of Putin's foreign atrocity campaigns, the Russian government just sent around $500 million in missiles across the entirety of Ukraine. I don't know if that's 500 or 300 or 400 or what exactly, but the concept's still right. Like, why would you spend that much right now to express your displeasure? But they're at least trying to do something with a purpose here. I know it sounds very weird, very strange to say. The Russians are at least thinking strategically about targeting these energy infrastructure as opposed to just a civilian hotel or apartment complex or something along those lines. I wish they wouldn't do either, but I that you can see what they're trying to accomplish here. Here's the monitoring of where the missiles are going. It must be immensely difficult to try to figure out where things are going and what they're what they're planning to do with it. But yeah, this is the map. They're firing from inside Russia, firing over from occupied areas and off in the Black Sea. Okay, and again, what are they trying to do? Here's Anton Gerashenko explaining, over the past few months, Russian terrorists have destroyed almost all thermal power plants in Ukraine and severely damaged hydroelectric power plants. The situation is now so challenging that at night, the energy company has to receive emergency aid from neighboring countries. The electricity shortage will continue because it will take years to repair the damage. Ukraine is already experiencing power cuts and energy saving. It will be even more difficult in the summer. But let's talk about winter. The situation will be much worse than the one during the blackout in the winter of 2022-2023. We need to start preparing for a very, very hard winter in cities with more than 1 million people. It is necessary to provide critical infrastructure with electricity. A terrible humanitarian catastrophe is approaching. Ukrainians will not be able to survive the winter in cities without electricity. You got to understand that Ukraine's winter is something more like Canada than what it looks like on the map. Like on the map, it looks like it's going to be, oh, it's close to Turkey. It must be warm. No, winter is, yeah. Think of their winter like Canada, and you'll understand why this is going to be a very difficult thing. Okay, Zelensky sat down for an interview with The Guardian the other day, and I want to read something and then I want to show you something of what he had to say. The interview came at perhaps the toughest moment for Ukraine since the early days of the war. Zelensky insisted, however, that it was too early to write off the country and that he remained positive despite all his frustrations. I'm not in despair at all. I don't feel like we are on a sinking ship which is going to the bottom. We are now not shouting, "Save us." The president is, however, shouting for more urgency. In the hours after the interview, the U.S. administration finally shifted on that issue, allowing Ukraine to use certain U.S. weapons on targets in the Russian border areas around Kharkiv. It's a permission that may have been more useful 3 weeks ago. True. I mean, we've slow walked everything to Ukraine. It's tragic to see how our decisions impact their lives. The attitude to time is completely different, Zelensky said, becoming animated. We feel this price more painfully than in the partner countries because no one in their families has died. And thank God for that. But you don't know what war is until it comes to your home, to your street, to a friend of yours, someone you studied with, or someone you knew, or someone you loved. Sometimes, to understand the price that we're paying, you don't need just political will, but also a deeper understanding of the consequences. You have to understand that a day of contemplating, a day of decision making, a day of dialogues takes people's lives. You say time is money. For us, time is life. That's pretty powerful. Like, that's the reality of where they are. A couple last things. Only when Putin loses the ability to strike at civilians and civilian infrastructure will he be forced to stop his terror, the president said. That's right. He has to be forced to stop it. He won't stop it otherwise. In the meantime, I've found that I've grown to have a deep respect for the ingenuity and the ability to just carry on of the Ukrainians. Here is laundry being dried on the wreckage of a Russian missile in a Ukrainian village. All right, my friends, thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.